Hello, Good Shepherd. Andrew here with my wife Naomi, and we're in the dining room of our apartment. Perhaps you're watching in your dining room or family room or whatnot. Hi, welcome. This is Andrew's question of the week, where we're going to respond to last Sunday's sermon and biblical gospel text. If you haven't watched the sermon from yesterday, there's a link in the description. Check it out. It might provide a little more context for this question that we're about to ponder together. You're encouraged to discuss this question or ponder this question as part of your daily spiritual practice. You can do so with your family, or you can do so in the comments section below here. We'd love for you to engage in that way. We are choosing to respond as a family in our home right now. Cool?
Cool.
Awesome. Well, let's get to it. So, in yesterday's text and Sunday's text, Jesus used mud to restore the blind man's sight. The question of the day is, how might God be using this muddy mess we're in right now, this situation of COVID-19 and social distancing and isolation? How might God be using this really muddy mess we're in to open your eyes to a new way of living? Pastor Louise mentioned in the sermon yesterday, one great way is to really use this time to be intentional about helping others, looking for needs and helping. That is great, and that can absolutely continue after this time is up. If this is a time where you're finding it to be really, really hard, either situationally or mentally, this might be calling for a time of deeper trust, or leaning on your faith, or leaning on others. That's a really great practice, because it's not a bad thing to ask for help and desire help. My answer, or would you like to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So, I think one thing we probably all have experienced is just tons of information coming in, lots of new fears, lots of anxiety, lots of constant news sources. And I've really had to try to find ways how to limit my intake, whether that's limiting my social media or limiting the news that I'm consuming. And I've really tried to put in more peaceful practices, even for my spiritual practices or throughout the day. So not starting the day with news, which is something we typically would do, and taking long walks every evening. And that has been so helpful in learning how to center myself and calm myself in new ways, especially as there's so much unknown. So I'm really curious if these, especially for us as a family, but personally, if these practices will stick moving forward even after all of this.
We're having a baby in a week, so any practices we start now are definitely going to continue postpartum.
It's very true. It's good to practice peace now.
So I guess mine, the new way of living that God has opened my eyes to is just being more intentional about connecting with family and connecting with loved ones. Really checking in on people is not a bad thing to do normally, and I don't feel like I do enough of it, and I've really enjoyed the connection pieces I've had in the last week or so. Last night, Saturday night, because I just gave away, we record this on a Sunday. Last night, we actually played Codenames. If you're not familiar, and many of you are, it's a fantastic tabletop game. We played it with Naomi's brother and sister-in-law. They live in Northern Virginia, and we were able to figure out a fun way to play that over FaceTime. If you're curious on how to do this, let me know. I'll tell you how we worked it out. And it worked out so well. And typically, we would only really spend some time with them if they were to visit or we were to visit. But we actually had a really awesome, rich experience together. We got to laugh and joke and play in two completely different states and cities, and really connect and have a fun time on a Saturday night, which we never would have done before that. So I'm really thankful for this new way of being creative about how we can connect with one another as we're isolated in our own homes. So that has been really sweet, and I hope even afterwards we can still connect on those ways and not go back into our old ways. So that's kind of our little way of putting silver lining on this, and what are we learning? How are our eyes being open to new ways. And if you haven't found one, maybe it's a great time to experiment with some. Anything else before we go that you'd like to add?
No.
Cool. Awesome.
Curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, comment below. Let us know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace be with you.